It's that time of year again. October is around the corner, and the postseason madness is ready to erupt. On one side, you've got a team built to win now, with stars, payroll, experience, and pressure. On the other, you've got a group of young guns who weren't even supposed to be here a month ago. Dodgers and Reds, a matchup that might not bring back memories of the Big Red Machine or the battles of the 70s. But in 2025, it's got all the ingredients for chaos. And honestly, that's the kind of series we live for. Let's start with the reality. The Dodgers are loaded. And no, that's not just the usual big market narrative. We're talking about a starting rotation that's absolutely ridiculous. Blake Snell in Game 1. Yoshi Yamamoto in Game 2. Shohei Ohtani if it goes to Game 3. And if, somehow, you get through them, they've still got Glasnow and Emmett Sheehan in their back pocket. It's like a video game rotation. A fantasy baseball dream. And somehow, that's not even the biggest story. Because as stacked as the rotation is, the real X factor for LA might just be the offense, or more specifically, the MVPs stacked at the top of that lineup. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani. That's 3 MVPs on one team, leading off. And yet, what makes the Dodgers even scarier is that they're not entering October thinking about individual awards or highlight reels. This group is hunting rings. The regular season? That was the warm-up act. The playoffs? That's when the real Dodgers show up. But don't write the Reds off just yet. Yeah, they snuck into the postseason. Yeah, they needed help to do it. But this team has been playing with their backs against the wall for weeks, and somehow, they keep finding ways to stay alive. They've got a rotation that's no joke either. Hunter Green opens the series, and when he's on, he's untouchable. Andrew Abbott follows in Game 2, and if there's a Game 3, they'll likely throw Nicolo, even on short rest, because at this point, it's all hands on deck. The Reds don't have the luxury of depth. They don't have the postseason experience. They don't even have consistency in their lineup. But what they do have is grit. And in a short series, that matters. A lot. And this isn't just some hypothetical underdog story. The Dodgers know what it's like to be stunned early. Go back to 2022 against San Diego. Go back to 2023 when Arizona punched them in the mouth in Game 1 and never looked back. The wild card round is dangerous. It's fast. It's unforgiving. One bad inning can end your season. One mistake, one bullpen meltdown, and suddenly that World Series dream is gone. That's the window of opportunity for Cincinnati. It's not about outlasting LA over a full series. It's about punching them in the mouth early and making them feel pressure. Because, believe it or not, the Reds actually match up in a few key areas, especially with their starting pitching. If Hunter Green shows up with that high-octane fastball and Abbott finds his groove, you suddenly have a team that can go toe-to-toe with anyone, even a juggernaut like LA. The bullpen? It's sneaky good. It's overworked, sure, but it's also battle-tested. They've been leaned on heavily down the stretch, and they've responded. Meanwhile, the Dodgers' pen has looked shaky, despite their front office trying to patch the holes with big names like Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates. On paper, those should have been fixes. In reality, they've been more like question marks. Scott's leading the league in blown saves. Yates can't find a strike zone. Trinan's been inconsistent. Even Alex Vija, once a rock, hasn't looked the same. So while everyone's talking about the stars at the top of the rotation, the real drama might unfold late in games. If the Reds can get past the starters, if they can draw walks, work counts, and get into that bullpen by the 6th or 7th inning, this series could get real interesting. Now, let's talk offense, or the lack of it. For Cincinnati, that's been the Achilles heel. All season long, it's been the same question. Can they score enough runs? In April, in July, and now in October, nobody has that answer. The Reds live and die by 3 or 4 runs. If they get there, they're dangerous. If they don't, they lose. It's that simple. Matt McClain? Cold bat. Great glove. Cobrian Hayes? Also not hitting. Even with Elly De La Cruz turning things around recently, the lineup just hasn't clicked. There's promise, sure. There's raw speed, power, and chaos on the base bats. But you can't steal first base. And when the Reds don't get on, all that athleticism means nothing. De La Cruz has been the heartbeat of this team, even while going through a brutal August. He made it clear early on that he wanted to play every game this season. He did, including after flying home to attend his sister's funeral. That kind of heart is rare. And even if he's been drained, he's still the guy, the one who can flip a game in an instant. But he needs help. The lineup around him needs to find ways to manufacture runs, not just wait for the long ball. Because the Dodgers, they don't wait. They explode. They're built to crush mistakes. And if you give them an inch, they'll take the series. But here's where it gets tricky for LA. Their margin for error is a lot thinner than it looks. All the pressure is on them, all the expectations. And if things go sideways early, say Hunter Green dominates in Game 1, or Yamamoto doesn't have his best stuff in Game 2, this series could spiral. The Dodgers are built for October, no doubt. But the Reds? They're built for chaos. And that might be exactly what this series becomes. You've got one team with nothing to lose and everything to gain. Another with everything to lose and nothing to gain unless they win all. That dynamic is dangerous. It's emotional. It's October baseball at its absolute finest. And if you're looking at experience, sure, Dodgers have the edge by miles. These guys have been there. Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, they don't flinch. They know what it takes. They've lifted trophies. The Reds? Most of them have never played a postseason game. But sometimes experience isn't everything. Sometimes hunger matters more. So now it's up to the Reds to prove they belong, to show that they're not just here for the ride, that they can punch above their weight and shock the baseball world. And in a best-of-3 series, you don't have to be the better team over a month. You just have to win twice. The biggest mystery surrounding this series isn't about whether the Dodgers are better on paper. That's already been established. It's about whether that paper actually means anything when the lights get bright and the pressure cranks up. Because as much as we talk about LA's firepower, their playoff history isn't bulletproof. And in recent years, it's been the scrappy, unexpected teams that have played the role of giant killer. The Nationals in 2019, the Braves in 2021, the Diamondbacks just last year. It doesn't take 7 games to pull off an upset. It takes 2. If the Reds are going to make this interesting, if they're going to flip the script, it starts with disrupting the Dodgers' rhythm. This team feeds on routine. Everything is calculated, controlled. They get ahead, they lock things down, and they coast. But if you make them uncomfortable early, if you force them to pivot, especially in the bullpen, they become human. That's what teams like Arizona and San Diego figured out. You don't beat LA by out-muscling them. You beat them by making them chase. And the Reds actually have the tools to do that. They're fast. They're aggressive. They force mistakes. And for a Dodgers bullpen that's been walking a tightrope lately, that's dangerous. Because once those cracks start to show, the crowd tightens up, the dugout tenses, and suddenly all the confidence starts slipping. That's the kind of pressure a team like Cincinnati can apply. Not by overpowering, but by keeping the game uncomfortable. Now, all of that said, the Reds still have to find a way to score runs. Because it doesn't matter how shaky LA's bullpen is if you can't get the ball in play. Blake Snell, in Game 1, is a brutal matchup. Not only has he owned lefties this year, but he also thrives in big moments. He's a guy who's been through the postseason wars and come out swinging. He's not going to give you anything easy. And for a Reds lineup that struggles with swing and miss, this could be a nightmare if they don't work the count early and find ways to chip away. Zach Little starting in Game 2? That's a wild card within a wild card. On one hand, he's had stretches where he's been quietly effective, especially in limiting base runners and avoiding big innings. But the flip side, he gives up home runs. A lot of them. And the Dodgers feed on the long ball. All it takes is one mistake, one hanging slider, and it's a 3-run swing that changes the entire tone of the game. That's the tightrope the Reds will have to walk. Playing clean, nearly perfect baseball just to stay alive. But again, this is baseball. And baseball doesn't care about payroll or projections. It's not always about the best team. It's about the team that plays best over 3 days. And in short bursts, the Reds can absolutely hang, especially if their bullpen continues to perform. Because that's the one area where Cincinnati might quietly have an edge. Their arms have been sharp lately, even under heavy workloads. They got a few guys who can come in and shut things down in high-leverage spots. And that's where October games are decided. Not in the second inning, but in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Meanwhile, LA's bullpen strategy looks more like damage control than domination. That's the one part of their roster that doesn't feel championship caliber right now. The names are big, the contracts are bigger, but the results? Unsteady. It's been patchwork all season, and they're hoping to mask it with innings from starters coming out of the pen. That's not exactly a recipe for postseason confidence. And let's not forget, this is all happening at Dodger Stadium, one of the most electric, intimidating environments in baseball. That crowd will be buzzing from pitch one. The Reds? They'll have to block it all out. No moment too big, no light too bright. Because if they freeze even for a second, this series could be over before they know what hit them. That's where the leadership of Terry Francona comes in. A guy who's been through just about every kind of October battle you can imagine. He knows how to settle a young clubhouse. He knows how to get the most out of his bench. And even with some questionable decisions during the season, including sticking with cold bats like Senzel for way too long, there's a belief that Francona has squeezed every ounce out of this group. He didn't get here by luck. He got here by pulling every right string when it mattered. And now, it matters more than ever. Because this is the moment. The moment where the Reds decide whether they're just a feel-good story or something more. A team with staying power. A team that can upset giants. But if they're going to do it, it won't be pretty. It'll be gritty. It'll be ugly. It'll be stealing bases, drawing walks, forcing errors, and staying relentless in the box. They don't need to slug their way to victory. They need to grind their way to survival. Make the Dodgers uncomfortable. Make them play tight. And make every pitch matter. And that might be the key to the whole thing, pitch by pitch. The Reds can't afford to think about winning 2 games. They need to think about getting one out. One pitch, then the next. Stay in the moment. Stay scrappy. Stay annoying. Because the moment they start trying trade blows with LA, it's over. But if they stay slippery, if they keep games close and force the Dodgers into a corner, that's when the pressure flips. Look, nobody's picking the Reds. And that's fine. Maybe that's how they like it. This team has played with a chip on its shoulder all year. From a moment they got written off in May to the final weekend push that got them in the dance, they've been proving people wrong. And now they've got one more shot. One more chance to shock the baseball world. Will it be enough? That depends on how clean they can play, how deep their starters can go, and whether their lineup can finally wake up when it matters most. Because October doesn't wait. And the Dodgers? They're not going to give them anything for free. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. The baseball world is buzzing with the kind of rumor that seems too bold to be true, yet has gained enough traction to set the sport on fire. Fernando Tatis Jr., the electric star of the San Diego Padres, is being whispered about as the newest name linked to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Though no official confirmation has surfaced, reports and murmurs around the league suggest that an announcement tying Tatis to the Dodgers may already be in motion, leaving fans and analysts stunned. The possibility alone has created shockwaves. Tatis Jr., a player celebrated for his flair, bat speed, and highlight reel defense, has long been seen as one of the cornerstones of San Diego's future. His massive contract extension was meant to cement his role as the face of the franchise. Now, the notion of him donning Dodger blue feels like a seismic shift in the delicate balance of power in the NL West, where San Diego and Los Angeles have sparred bitterly in recent years. If true, the move would mark one of the most dramatic player shifts in recent memory. Tatis is not just a superstar. He's a brand, a cultural figure whose charisma resonates beyond the diamond. For the Dodgers, already stacked with a deep roster, his arrival would signal nothing short of an arms race for dominance, a bold statement that even their rivals' brightest lights can be lured across enemy lines. For the Padres, it would raise difficult questions. How could such a centerpiece be allowed to slip away, and what fallout would the organization face among a fan base that believed Tatis was untouchable? Of course, until pen meets paper, all of this remains speculation. Insiders hint at behind-the-scenes maneuvering, with whispers of negotiations happening faster than expected. Some dismiss it as noise, a ploy to rattle rivals or inflate leverage. Others, however, believe where there's smoke, there's fire, and this blaze could be historic. For now, the rumor mill keeps spinning. Could Fernando Tatis Jr. truly be headed to Chavez Ravine? The very idea is enough to keep the baseball world glued to every update, waiting for confirmation or denial that might change the face of the game overnight. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.